Now at 10 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, authorities in DeWitt County arrested a man accused in a shooting over the weekend.
New technologies coming to Victoria County just in time for the November 7th election.
And Victoria County now has a newly elected Democratic Party chair. His goals for the party straight ahead.
Next few days, we'll be waiting for this little dry front, so we will still stay on the warm side of things, and then we'll be watching the Pacific because it'll have something to do with our weather next week. I'll have all that tonight coming up.
Houston Astros in a 3-game hole or 1 game away from a tied series. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. Police responded to the 100 block of Alamo Circle in Cuero around 4:30 p.m. today. Authorities say an individual was threatening to hurt himself. He did fire his gun, but it did not hit anyone. The crisis team was able to talk him out of the residence to save the area where he was taken into custody. He was taken away for medical evaluation. His name has not been released, and they will decide later on what charges, if any, the suspect will face.
Late this afternoon, DeWitt County Sheriff's deputies arrested 36-year-old Cody Allen Eggemeyer of Westhoff. He was found near Westhoff and taken in without incident by sheriff's deputies and DPS troopers. Eggemeyer is accused of shooting 54-year-old James Lubienski of Yorktown last Sunday. Authorities say Eggemeyer will be booked into the DeWitt County Jail on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and felon in possession of a firearm. Both are felonies. After he was shot, Lubienski was transported to Brooks Army Medical Center in San Antonio, where he was treated and released. An arrest warrant was put out for Lubienski. He turned himself in to the DeWitt County Sheriff's Office Tuesday night. Lubienski charged with aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury, a second-degree felony.
The next time you cast your ballot in Victoria County, you will be using the latest in voting technology. Margreta Hill, elections administrator for Victoria County, held an open house demonstration of the new voting machines today. These new machines will be faster, easier, and quicker to operate and more reliable. Plus, when you vote, your ballot will print on paper. Hill says voting is now a two-step process. Every time you vote, your vote will be stored both electronically and on paper to maximize accuracy.
I just want everybody to, when they come and vote, to remember you'll mark it and then you'll leave it in the tabulator where they scan it.
All polling locations in Victoria County from now on will be equipped with these new polling machines.
Lavaca County Elections Administrator Amy Claisel resigned last Wednesday. The Shiner Gazette reports Claisel said she quit her job citing, quote, a very hostile work environment at Lavaca County, unquote, as her main reason for her departure. Claisel specifically named several people in her resignation letter, including County Judge Keith Mudd. Judge Mudd said he was shocked by the resignation and thanked Claisel for her service. Early voting in the state's constitutional amendment election starts next Monday.
A new Victoria County Democratic Party chairman came out of retirement to do more for the community and to grow the Democratic values. Peter Takis said he is willing to go out and do the work because he thinks there is a silent majority, which are the Democrats.
I think there's a sort of a silent majority. People are beat down. And I think that there just needs to be enthusiasm and energy put into this, and they will come out of the woodwork.
He believes if the party wants to get any results, they are going to have to communicate and have more involvement from community members.
Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Remember when it was like 40 degrees about 24, 36 hours ago? And now it's heating up again, and Mac, it's feeling like, not totally like summer out there, but it's getting there.
I left my windbreaker in the back of the car. I won't be needing it anytime soon. No, we're actually looking at a warm streak of days before things get back a little to hopefully normal. We're only 64 right now, or a couple of nights ago we were in the 40s at this time. Looking at today's high, got up just to 84. Tomorrow will be about 88, and yes, we're going to see some 90s over the weekend. But next week's going to be very different. We might actually have some rain around here, and we'll be talking about that in just a moment.
Two suspects in police custody after a police officer was shot and killed overnight during a vehicle pursuit in San Benito, Texas. Officials say Rodrigo Axel Espinoza Valdez of Mexico and Rogelio Martinez Jr., a U.S. citizen, were arrested in the shooting death of Lieutenant Milton Resendez. The suspects were involved in a pursuit with DPS when Officer Resendez encountered the suspect's vehicle. The suspects opened fire, striking the officer's cruiser, and one of the bullets hit the officer in the abdomen.
The pursuit returns back to Brownsville, and after a pit maneuver is exercised, the truck is disabled and both subjects again leave the truck, bail from the truck, and run. Luckily, unfortunately, this time they did not escape.
Lieutenant Resendez was a 30-year veteran of the San Benito Police Force.
The U.S. resuming direct repatriation flights for Venezuelans who unlawfully crossed the border. Last month, the Biden administration made all Venezuelans who have lived in the U.S. since before August eligible for what's known as temporary protected status, allowing them to stay without fear of deportation and providing them with work authorization. But Venezuelan nationals who entered after July 31st, 2023 are not eligible for TPS. Those who do not enter the U.S. legally will be subject to repatriation flights.
We have lawful pathways. We have ways for somebody to apply for asylum, to apply to come into this country through a port of entry, the lawful, legal way. That's what we need everybody to do.
The Venezuelan government agreed to take back deported migrants, and border officials say they plan to increase the number of repatriation flights.
Cooler temperatures might be what some people are hoping for, but ERCOT is worried a cold snap could lead to an energy emergency. ERCOT estimates there is a 20% chance a cold blast like December's winter storm Elliott could cause an electricity emergency. They have asked generators to consider restarting retired power plants, including some that were offline for years. ERCOT will sign off on these proposals in November. Fortunately, board members say this will be the first cold season since power plants have weatherized their equipment for specific low temperatures. So here is your viewer poll tonight. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, do you feel like ERCOT is prepared to handle major changes in the weather, yes or no? According to these results, it looks like 17% stand at yes and 83% stand at no. We want to hear your opinion. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. Now, President Biden has returned from his trip to Israel. Tomorrow, he plans to address the nation amid the Israel-Hamas conflict.
This as protests erupt across the Middle East in response to that deadly hospital attack in Gaza and new updates on the critical aid that will now be allowed into Gaza from Egypt.
President Biden arriving in Tel Aviv Wednesday, meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, reaffirming America's support for Israel.
We see that support and your steadfast commitment to provide Israel with the tools we need to defend ourselves.
Israel has launched a blistering series of retaliatory airstrikes into Gaza after Hamas terrorists slaughtered more than 1,400 people. More than 3,500 Palestinians have been killed in those Israeli attacks. The IDF now poised for a potential ground invasion, continuing to urge residents in Gaza to head south for their safety.
We keep praying. We sleep every night, fearing that we will never wake up again.
President Biden acknowledging the suffering of the Palestinian people, saying the vast majority are not Hamas. Biden also announcing $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance for both Gaza and the West Bank, including clean water, food, medical care, and other essential needs. Israel saying they will agree to let that aid into southern Gaza.
If Hamas diverts or steals the assistance, they will have demonstrated once again that they have no concern for the welfare of the Palestinian people. And it will end.
But it's an explosion at Al-Ali Baptist Hospital in Gaza that the Palestinian Health Ministry says killed hundreds that has outraged the Arab and Muslim world. The president saying he grieves for the victims at the hospital.
The Palestinian people are suffering greatly as well. We mourn the loss of innocent Palestinian lives.
Palestinian officials claim it was an Israeli airstrike. The IDF is blaming a misfired rocket from another terrorist group, Islamic Jihad. U.S. officials say, based on analysis of overhead imagery, intercepts, and open source information, Israel was not responsible. News of that explosion sparking protests throughout the broader Middle East region. Security forces using tear gas and a water cannon as clashes erupted near the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon.
President Biden had been scheduled to meet with the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, the Egyptian president, and the King of Jordan in Jordan. But following that hospital explosion, Abbas canceled the meeting, declaring 3 days of mourning. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Early voting in Calhoun County begins Monday, October 23rd. The Calhoun County Ministries Food Pantry Administrator is warning of a food shortage amid low donations. Plus, one lucky winner in El Campo receives a 2023 Ford Bronco vehicle after buying a lucky raffle ticket. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. A major breakthrough, the 2005 disappearance of Natalee Holloway. Her family finally receiving answers.
Also ahead, a family in mourning after the death of their son while authorities investigate the shooting at Jackson State University over the weekend. Jackson State University student who was shot to death Sunday is searching for answers. Jackson State University senior 21-year-old Jalen Burns was shot late Sunday night in the shoulder right near his heart. His father said police told him two of his friends drove Jalen to the hospital that night, but he didn't make it. Burns knew his son was special. After graduating high school, the Chicago native had an option to attend West Point, but chose HBCU instead. Jalen always had a full schedule, but he was never too busy for his family. Now we bring you a story from Alabama. It's a case that gripped the world when teen Natalee Holloway went missing.
Now, 18 years later, the suspect in her 2005 disappearance has pleaded guilty today to federal extortion charges and confessed to the murder.
Today, the man at the center of the 18-year-old Natalee Holloway missing persons case pleaded guilty to federal extortion charges related to the Alabama teen's disappearance. Joran Vandersloot admitting to killing Holloway on a beach, using a cinder block to smash her face and disposing of her body in the ocean. The Dutchman making the confession as part of a plea deal with federal prosecutors.
Joran Vandersloot is no longer the suspect in my daughter's murder. He is the killer.
The moment emotional for Natalee's mother.
Natalee would be 36 years old today. I still miss her every day. It's been a very long and painful journey. but we finally got the answers we've been searching for all these years.
In court, Vandersloot apologized to the Holloway family and his own family. In 2005, the Dutch national was seen leaving a bar with Holloway while she was on a high school graduation trip in Aruba. Today, Vandersloot admitted that Holloway refused his sexual advances on the beach and then he attacked her. Her body was never found. In 2010, Vandersloot was indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly trying to extort Holloway's family.
Despite their grief, the Holloway family kept fighting for justice for Natalie. Their love for their daughter and sister is what brought us to this day.
The judge accepting the plea agreement, saying Vandersloot brutally murdered Holloway and another young woman, Stephanie Flores, who both refused his sexual advances, but that his confession in the Holloway case cannot be used against him. The judge sentenced Vandersloot to 20 years in prison to run concurrently with the previous sentence he's still serving for the 2010 murder of Flores, a 21-year-old from Peru. He will also have to pay more than $21,000 in restitution to Beth Holloway. Melissa Adan, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A California man is facing felony charges after he detonated an explosive device inside a large teddy bear. Video shows a man placing the bear in a store's parking lot before getting back into his SUV. Moments later, the bear explodes. No one was hurt in the explosion. The suspect drove off, but he was located and arrested. Authorities had searched his home and found a ghost gun, over 200 rounds of ammunition, over a kilo of meth, a ballistic vest, and metal pipes and saws consistent with explosive devices.
Actor Lou Diamond Phillips returned to the Lone Star State this week. He's preparing to teach a master class in acting and directing at UT Arlington. Yesterday, he met with students for some lunch.
This was an opportunity to give back and to be that guy that, inspires these young people, much like I was inspired, back in the day.
Phillips graduated from UT Arlington in 1989. He landed roles in La Bamba and The King and I on Broadway. He was also nominated for a Tony and an Emmy.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. The DeWitt County Historical Museum celebrates 50 years. The Cuero Regional Hospital is hosting a blood drive tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. in the education classroom. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
We are looking at some rather dark skies, wouldn't you say? Actually, we're looking at the stronger south wind that brought us the warm temperatures. It gets 64 right now, not as cool as it was just 2 nights ago. We got up to 84. Tomorrow, we're getting up to 88 and then 90. So we'll be talking about that and what kind of relief is on the way. All that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. Today, probably no need for sweaters, and you won't need a sweater the entire weekend because we're looking at warming temperatures. Over the next day or so, we were waiting for a little front to come through. It's really kind of a dry line. You can see how the northerly winds will kick in and suppress all whatever moisture that we have over the area. So it'll be just drier, but because of its dryness and the abundant sunshine, we're going to be fairly warm. And then you've got to ask, what is going on over here? You know, all this cloud cover, and we're talking, you know, by Friday, a lot of cloud cover along northern Mexico, the Texas border. Well, that's actually our next potential rainmaker, so we'll be talking about that. Tonight's lows only in the 60s as opposed to the 40s, and tomorrow's high is about 88, almost 90 degrees, and it'll be hot this weekend. You'll probably say, oh, is it coming back? Well, for a little bit, it's coming back. But mostly what we're watching is Norma. Norma is on the west coast of Mexico, and notice that Sunday, Monday, what? Rain rolling back into Texas. Let's watch this again because over here is the days in the future, and then you'll see how it moves forward. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Wait a minute, that even includes us. So there is a rain chance within the next 5 days as the activity on the west coast gets very interesting. This is Norma. Norma is a big storm right now. It is going to be moving northbound to a 1 to a 2 category storm. It's going to roll right over Cabo San Lucas, which is the tourist area down there at the tip, and then it's going to turn inland. And as it falls apart over the desert southwest, it gets very interesting. Now, if it was hitting down south toward Guadalajara, it'd be hitting some big mountains. There are still mountains here, but not as big. So a lot of that moisture is going to be streaming over the desert southwest and then eventually into Texas as well. So let's take a look at it. Here's our little low, not a little bit, a big low. Here's our little front. It's a dry line. And that's going south, and that's not going to do much for us at all this weekend. However, we get to Friday, you see the storm coming ashore, Saturday, getting closer, and so you can extend that model out and say, oh, it's coming our way. So what we do have is a chance for rain next week, and we'll be talking about it quite a bit. We're looking at a sunrise of 7:31 in the morning and sunset at 6:53 p.m. That means the sun's going down now before 7 o'clock, so the days are getting shorter. And you're going to decorate for Halloween and don't get a sunburn over the weekend. So here's the day planner. For those of you in Port Lavaca, starting off at 66, getting up to an 88. Lots of sun tomorrow. Not a bad day if you need to do anything outdoors. It's just going to be hot. Looking for a high of 90 in Cuero and lots of sunshine all day long. But here's what the 7 days look like. Mostly sunny and dry, hot and dry. Hot and dry with a 91 Saturday. Sunday, still pretty much the same, but then all of a sudden the clouds start rolling in and an increasing chance of rain, especially on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll certainly be watching it for you. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Want you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Gino. Are you talking about the Astros?
Yes, I am, and that game just ended about 10 minutes ago, so we have the latest after the break. At a crossroads, well, thanks to your help, we decided that the game of the week this Friday will be between the Edna Cowboys and the Goliad Tigers. You voted, and 76% of you were in favor of that game. And we will also be at the Refugio and Shiner game. Goliad will make the near hour-long trip to Cowboy Country. Goliad has not won this matchup in over 5 years. The Edna Cowboys come in as the favorites. And out on the volleyball courts, the Yoakum Lady Bulldogs welcome the ladies of Edna. And for Yoakum, just another day at the office as they win in 3 sets. Edna falls to 6-6 in district play. Yoakum still trailing the Columbus Cardinals, who beat them earlier in the year. Yoakum will travel there this Friday in what is likely their last chance for a district title. If Columbus wins, it would be nearly impossible for the Lady Bulldogs to take first. If they do, however, then the two will be tied. Edna trails Industrial in the standings, but are ahead of Palacios, Tidehaven, and Hallettsville in that district. The Victoria East Lady Titans faced off against the Miller Buccaneers. East took care of business quickly and swept Miller in 3 sets. The scores were 25-12, 25-7, and 25-15, with the closest set coming in set 3. East Maddie Samodio nearly had a triple-double with 17 kills, 15 assists, and 9 digs. The Lady Titans will travel to Corpus to take on Ray Texans on Friday. UHV golf team is hot, but a South African on the team is even hotter. Joshua Fundervoth won the UHV Fall Classic, making this the 2nd consecutive tournament the junior has won. Fundervoth shot 2 under par to win the whole thing after going 1 under par in the final round. The Jaguars as a team had an 899 with a 2nd place team shooting a 900, winning by just 1 stroke. This is the men's 5th consecutive win at Victoria Country Club. Fundervoth finished 6 strokes ahead of the next 2 competitors. Well, up in Arlington, Game 3 between the Houston Astros and Texas Rangers. And Yordan Alvarez takes one off the ankle, and he would walk it off. And later, that would become big because Max Scherzer would throw one in the dirt, and Alvarez would come home. 1-0 Astros, their first lead of the series. Houston's Maldonado comes in clutch with a 2-out shot to left field and brings home 2 more runs. He would get caught trying to go to second base, but the damage was already done. In the top of the 3rd inning, though, Jose Altuve with the 3-0 lead. He said, hey, just put me up at the plate and I'll try to do what I do best, which is knock it over the left center field wall. No doubter, this is the 25th postseason home run of his career, just 4 away from Manny Ramirez's record. The Rangers would go yard in the bottom of the 5th, but that still would not be enough. The Rangers would fall 8-5. Houston Astros get their first win of the series, but they'll do it again tomorrow in Globe Life at 7:30. And lastly, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has agreed to a new contract with the league that will keep him on the job through 2027. The 64-year-old Goodell has helped pro football's top job since 2006. This is Goodell's 4th contract extension since 2009. Commissioner Goodell started as a lowly intern back in 1982 before climbing the National Football League's corporate ladder. Well, that's your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, exciting news. The site formerly known as Twitter going through another change. Elon Musk says X, formerly known as Twitter, testing out a $1 subscription charge for some users. The move is part of an effort to combat spam and bot activity. And the subscription is part of a program called Not a Bot that will first be tested in New Zealand and the Philippines. Elon Musk previously said the company planned to move to a subscription fee model in September, but that the changes are not a profit driver. It's unclear if the subscription will roll out worldwide. A Stamford, Connecticut company known for larger-than-life characters will soon have a giant World Wrestling Entertainment Championship belt. Workers are putting the final touches on the 7-foot-tall precast concrete monument. Tiled flooring along with lighting will complete the structure. This is a replica of the championship belt currently held by wrestler Roman Reigns and formerly held by, he called himself from Victoria, but he was Edna native Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Now, on that belt, did I see a remote control on there?
I believe, but you know what you didn't see on there? The face of Vince McMahon. He is no longer in charge of the WWE in this total, they're being taken over by UFC, so now the person who's running it is, I don't know his real name, but his wrestling name is Triple H, who also is Vince's son-in-law.
But Stone Cold is from here? From
Yes, Midna, yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
He is, because Stone Cold said so.
Must have been the biggest guy in Jackson County. I mean,
absolutely.
Oh, well, folks, it's going to be rather warm for the next couple of days. No need for any kind of sweater or windbreaker. It's going to be in the 90s over the weekend, and next week it's going to get interesting. We do have a shot at some much-needed rainfall coming in from the West Coast, and we'll certainly be here to track it for you. That's your forecast.
Alrighty, thank you, Mac. In honor of the National Toy Hall of Fame's 25th anniversary, the Strong Museum will be inducting 4 toys this year. 3 toys will be chosen, but a special 4th inductee will be chosen by the public. 5 multi-time finalists who have failed to make the cut in previous years, known as the Forgotten 5, are up for a vote. On the ballot, Transformers, of course, the Pogo Stick, Pez, My Little Pony, and Fisher's Prize Corn Popper, which I'm actually not too familiar with.
The corn popper?
No, I'm not, but the final inductees.
That one. Yeah. You push it along and it goes boop, 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 boop.
No, I don't know. Yeah. Well, okay, but the final inductees will be available Friday, November 10th, so looking forward to that.
All right.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys, and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10.
I'm voting for Pez, and join Carolina Astrain, meteorologist Parker Cox.